Hello and welcome back. This is part 2 of trying to troubleshoot your sequential twin turbo system on your 13B on your FD Mazda RX-7. Now in this video, we're gonna look at solenoids. We're actually gonna test one, and this is a great example because one side is not holding vacuum, and then we're also gonna be activating it with a 9-volt battery, and we're gonna talk about silicone hoses. And all of these things should help you get closer to either solving your problem or eliminating one possibility. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start talking about the Mazda solenoids. And these solenoids are crucial to the sequential system because they act as actuators and switches by using vacuum and pressure. Now we're gonna be working with this green one. We're gonna be testing it, but we wanna show you this one right here. This is the turbo control solenoid. And if you see right here, it broke off one of its nipples. Whenever I was removing it, because I bought brand new ones, and I'll talk about that here in a bit, it snapped off. And that is really common because you read about people on the forums talking about when they were switching out their hoses, they broke off a nipple. And that just happens with heat cycles and age. And so we went ahead and installed a new one of those sensors. Now, these are pretty cool because they act as gateways. And I'm gonna show you real quickly what we're gonna do. And the first step we're gonna do is we're going to be testing to see if it holds vacuum. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this silicone hose on here. I'm gonna use my vacuum tool, and I'm gonna put it on vacuum, and I'm gonna put about 10 inches of mercury of vacuum. All right. Okay, we put 10 inches, and as you can see, it's holding pretty steadily well. And then we're gonna put it on this one, and you're gonna see something that is really interesting. Are you ready? We're gonna go ahead and look at that, guys. It doesn't even hold vacuum at all. Like, I keep putting it on and it keeps escaping. We're now gonna go ahead and test the solenoid, and I have a connector here. I'm gonna go ahead and connect it on one side, and then I'm gonna connect it on the other side. All right. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some vacuum. All right, so we're about 8 PSI, but check this out, guys. Look at this right here. When we activate this, it's all gonna go away. Boop. And that's how it works. You heard that little pop, let's do it again. And the way it's supposed to work is that when it gets vacuum, and whenever the ECU tells it to turn on, it's supposed to route that vacuum to wherever it's supposed to go. And as you can tell, if this is broken, or if it's not holding vacuum, or the internals of the solenoid is not working, it's not gonna be able to do its job. So I keep trying to put some vacuum on there, it's not really doing anything. And I open it up. The solenoid looks like it's still working, but something internally here isn't holding the pressure anymore. Even though the nipple is broken, let's see if this holds vacuum. All right, we put 10 inches of mercury vacuum on there, and check it out, guys, it's holding. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and see if the solenoid itself actuates. All right, here we go. And it does. So unfortunately, this is working, but the nipple broke off. But it looks like this one right here isn't holding vacuum, and hopefully that is our problem. So what's going on with my car? Well, I am not getting secondary boost. I've found those hoses that were cracked that you saw in the first video, but now we also found a defective solenoid. But luckily, I actually ordered new solenoids. And I know a lot of people are like, don't replace something until it goes bad. But as you saw with this one, things are getting brittle. And really, it's not a bad idea to switch out these solenoids because they've been doing their job for almost 30 years. And so we did, we switched them out. And I think that's a very important thing, especially if you have the upper intake manifold off. But one of the things you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna get some silicone hose. And also why you might be in a pickle if you don't have some of the OEM hoses that you need in the system. So there's a catch-22 because this is good, but some of these are molded to a shape that's really hard to replicate with silicone hoses. The reason why I recommend you get new solenoids is because if you're gonna be switching out your silicone hoses, you might break off a nipple, and that's just not good. So this is a silicone hose that I bought, and it's really good because a lot of this stuff is heat resistant, it's kink resistant, and it's just really good to replace rubber that's super hard. Like this is really hard, and when it's hard, what it does is that over time, when it becomes hard, it allows air to escape because it's kind of molded itself so hard that it's not flexible, and it just separates itself from whatever is supposed to be connected. Now, one of the things that I noticed is that it's easy to replace certain hoses, right? But I noticed with a certain solenoid, there was a original hose that was like this, guys. It was molded like this. And that's all the space that you had. And if you try to replicate that with a silicone hose, you just can't do that. And as a matter of fact, nobody will tell you this, but if you try to do that, you're actually going to put a lot of pressure on the new nipple of your new solenoids. So I recommend if you could reuse some of your OEM hoses, the ones that are really small and molded, do it. If not, you might actually have to find the correct vacuum hose. Luckily, mine's still usable, but I know for a fact in the future, I want to start looking for the proper hoses. And these are things that you're going to learn when you're working on your RX-7, but I hope you're starting to understand how the solenoids work, why you need some silicone hoses, and that you might actually need some regular hoses because the molding issue is a real one. So at this time, let me tell you what I've done to my car. I've added a boost gauge. I actually wired it up and added it to the gauge pod, so it's good to go. I got some OEM new hoses that were the ones that attach to both the blow-off valve and the CRV, the ones that were really hard and they could possibly lead to a boost leak. I've also added some new solenoids, which is good. I got this set and I also got the turbo control solenoid, and I got some vacuum hoses. Now, the right approach to do troubleshooting isn't to shotgun blast and replace parts, but let me tell you, I needed a boost gauge. Those hoses were done, they needed to be replaced. Having new silicone hoses when yours is hard is a must, so you have to do that. And really the only thing that I wanted to replace as an experiment was the solenoids. And as a matter of fact, I think it's a good thing to do because I think they are truly a wear and tear item. So in reality, I think I've approached it really well. And at this point in time, I'm gonna patch up the car and I'm gonna try to see if my problem is solved. Now, I'm sure you guys have gone on the forums and asked for help or saw somebody else who asked for help for a problem that you might have, and then they fix it and never follow up and tell you what they did to fix it, because that data is important. Well, if I end up fixing a car, I'm gonna make another video and let you guys know how it feels and what my feedback about that. But at this point in time, we're gonna wrap up the video. We appreciate you watching, and I hope that you're able to fix your problem. Again, thanks again. You take care, and we'll talk to you soon.